Welcome! We're so glad you're here for this explainer from the You Need Faith in Jesus team. Today, we're jumping into the deep wisdom of Psalm 49. It's a chapter that, honestly, feels like it was written for our time, speaking right to our anxieties about wealth, power, and what really, truly matters.
So let's start with a question this psalm tackles head-on, one I think we've all struggled with at some point. Does seeing corrupt or powerful people succeed, does it ever make you feel a little uneasy, maybe even afraid? Well, Psalm 49 gives us God's powerful perspective on that exact feeling. Before we get to the solution, though, the psalmist wants to make something crystal clear. Who is this message for? Is it for a select few? Nope. It's for absolutely everyone.
I mean, you can't get much more inclusive than that, right? This isn't some secret message for a special club. It's a universal truth for every single person on this planet, no matter your status, your bank account, or where you call home. It's for the person in the fancy boardroom and the person on the factory floor.
And you know, this idea of a universal message, it links up with other huge truths in the Bible. Take Romans 3:23, for instance, which tells us that all have sinned. That's a universal problem. In the same way, the wisdom in this psalm about death and the illusion of wealth cuts right through all our human divisions, because it's talking about our shared reality. Okay, so now that we know this message is for all of us, let's get right to the heart of it. Let's look at this central question of fear that the psalmist is trying to solve for us. The psalmist asks such a relatable question here, doesn't he? He's basically saying, why should I be scared when it feels like corrupt, powerful people are winning, when their sin is all around me trying to trip me up? It's that sinking feeling you get when you see injustice prosper, and you just wonder, God, where are you in this? And right away, the psalm points its finger at the source of their power. And, if we're honest, the source of our fear. It all comes from their complete and total confidence in their material wealth, their substance. Yet, this is the very foundation of their pride. They brag about it. It's what they rely on, what gives them their whole sense of security and importance. But, as we're about to see, it's a foundation that this psalm is going to completely dismantle.
All right, so let's get into it. Let's see how this psalm just pulls the rug out from under worldly riches by showing what money absolutely cannot buy when it's up against life's biggest realities.
And right here, this is the knockout blow to the pride of wealth. It doesn't matter how much money you have, no fortune on earth can pay the price for a human soul or buy a single person an escape from death. Why? Because the redemption of a soul is precious. It's beyond any price a human could ever pay. You can see this stark contrast right here. The worldly hope is that money is the answer, that their big houses will last forever, that putting their name on land means something eternal. But what's the eternal truth? Redemption can't be bought. They'll leave all that wealth behind for someone else, and in the end, without God, they perish just like animals. The psalmist doesn't mince words here, does he? He calls this whole way of living folly. It's just utter foolishness. And the tragedy is, this foolish way of thinking is often admired and passed down from one generation to the next. Then you see that word, Silla. That's like a musical pause. It's the Bible telling you, hey, stop. Think about that for a second. Let that sink in. So after completely tearing down the world's solution, what's left? Well, this is where the psalm presents the one true hope, the only answer that actually works. First, we get this really grim final picture for those who trust only in this world's stuff. They're led to the grave like helpless sheep. And everything they valued, their power, their looks, their beauty, it all just gets consumed and vanishes. And then, right after that bleak image, we get this incredible, dramatic turn. It's just two words, but they might be the two most powerful, most hopeful words in this entire psalm. They change absolutely everything. This is the believer's triumphant declaration of faith. While the wealthy have no ransom, the psalmist says, but God will redeem my soul. See, our rescue, our future, it isn't in our own hands or in our bank accounts. It's in God's hands. He will rescue us from the power of death because he will receive us. Wow. That's a promise of an eternal relationship. Okay, that is an absolutely incredible eternal truth. But the psalmist doesn't just leave it up in the clouds. It brings this hope right down into our daily lives. So what does this all mean for us, like on a Tuesday afternoon? How does it change how we live right now? The application couldn't be more direct or practical. Don't be afraid. Don't be envious. Don't be intimidated when you see people who don't follow God succeeding in this world. Why not? Because you know the end of the story. You know their worldly glory is temporary, and they can't take a single dime of it with them. The Psalm's final verses really boil it all down to this one key idea: the critical difference between a life of temporary honor that ends in tragedy and a life of eternal hope is one thing: understanding. And this isn't about being book smart. It's about having the spiritual wisdom to see life from God's point of view.
So, to wrap this up, let's make it super practical. Here are 4 steps you can take. First, secure your hope. Make absolutely sure it's placed in God, the only one who can truly redeem. Second, invest in what lasts forever. Pour your time and energy into an eternal legacy, not just temporary status. Third, starve your fear. When that envy or intimidation starts to creep in, you actively fight it with the truth of this psalm. And finally, number 4, pursue godly understanding. Make it a priority to seek out God's perspective in everything.
And so, ultimately, the psalmist leaves us with this powerful question to ask ourselves. Is my life built on temporary honor, the kind of stuff the world applauds? Or is it built on the solid rock of eternal understanding that's found only in God?
As you go about your week, we really hope this look at Psalm 49 has encouraged your faith and strengthened your perspective. Choose that eternal hope. From all of us here at the You Need Faith in Jesus team, thank you so much for joining us for this explainer.